Oh, right. You need to use your other headphones. Because that whole hitting your ear thing is going to bother me. It's annoying. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Marriage Mondays podcast. A podcast for the married,
the not married,
and the in-between. I'm your host, Kelly Jones.
And I am your host, Roderick Jones.
And we are so happy to have you here today.
For sure.
Silly. But yeah, so today's episode will be how to move from me to we.
And not
we to me. Even though you're going to have a lot of we to me moments, you're going to bring her back, bring her back, bring her back, bring her back. And go from me to we.
Alright.
So yeah,
today's episode should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because this is a topic that I feel like a lot of married couples need to have. And it's a topic that a lot of married couples struggle with as well. Because, you go through life, you're by yourself for the most part, and you get to do things on your own for the most part. And then you meet this other person, and now y'all have to share a life. And the only thing you know is how to move by yourself, and not how to move with another person. So I think this topic is very important, and I think it will share a lot of insight into what it takes to move from me to we.
Yeah.
And so I think the first question that we should ask is, what does it mean to move from me to we?
Yeah.
And I think I can take this one. So basically, I hinted on it earlier. And basically, moving from me to we is when you look at how you've been raised, take your whole life, and then when you're sharing it with a significant other, you're becoming one. And so what that means is you're killing yourself so that way you and your wife can come together as a married couple and move forward as one. So it's when one person comes with another person as individuals, they come together, they get married, and then they move forward as one.
Yeah.
Would you like to add on to that?
Too, why that scares a lot of people is because it's like, I have to give myself away, like I can't be who I am. And that's not what it means. It just means like dying to your selfish ways and joining another person as you guys walk your marriage out. So it doesn't mean that you can't do your own thing sometimes, like be in your own career or have your own like hobbies and dreams. But it does mean that every decision that I make affects my partner. So with that being said, we need to come together when making decisions, and just for the majority of y'all's life. So I know that probably was confusing, but I know that scares a lot of people because it scared me.
Yeah, for sure. And when coming together as when moving from me to we, it's not about, like you said, it's not about controlling the other person. It's letting the other person still be the individual that they are. Accepting them for the individual that they are. And accepting everything that they bring as an individual to the table. However, when coming to this table, you bring what you have, I bring what I have. But once we get done, we have to figure out how do we move with both of our halves in a unified way.
Yeah.
So that way.
I like that, a unified way.
Come together. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming off the top today.
Yeah, like you're a man of many words.
For sure. All right, so we talked about what does it mean to move from me to we, and that's basically when one person comes together with another person, they get married, and they move together as one on a unified front. Now, with that being said, why is it important for people to move from me to we, especially when they get married? Kelly, would you like to?
You say you wanted to take this one.
All right, so I'll start this one off as well. So it's important because in order for a marriage to work, you have to be unified. Otherwise, it's just two people coming together to do things their separate ways. And if you're going to come together in a marriage, you have to come together and operate as one. But if you come together thinking, I'm going to do me and they're going to do them, then what was the purpose of getting married for anyway? Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to do because you are being vulnerable with the other person, because once you don't do things your way and you don't necessarily know how this is going to turn out. And so with you not knowing how it's going to turn out, you're comfortable with doing things the way you want to do it. Mm-hmm. However, when bringing in a new person, you never had this before, so you're uncomfortable because it's something new, but you don't know what that other person is going to bring. You don't know how the other person is going to act. You don't even know if that other person is going to be trustworthy. However, those are all problems that should have been solved in counseling. However, if you are married and you're coming together, it's important that you come together and start moving as one, because that's the way that it's supposed to be. That's the way a successful marriage happens. If you're going to move as one, that means you can move as one in everything. Finances, groceries, house cleaning. Everything is moving as one, and it makes the marriage a lot better. Otherwise, you're just two people coming together that should have stayed single because you want to do things your way. They want to do things their way. You're just roommates at this point, or housemates. And you didn't get married to be a housemate. You got married to be a husband and a wife, and to come together and operate as one, And that's the whole thing about marriage. It's two people coming together, but those two people make one couple. Yeah. And so, like, when we were in church, they were talking about, if you can't see us, you can't see us, And so that
Did y'all get that one? If you can't see us, then you can't see us.
Yeah, so that means if you can't see, like, us together, then you can't see us, period. Meaning that if you don't accept us as operating as one, as a married couple, like, when you see her, you see me, and when you see me, you see her, then you don't need to be around us, period, because that's how we operate. And the reason it's so important to operate that way is because you set strong foundations for your family, and you set your future family up for having a successful marriage, and to see what a successful marriage look like. I think a lot of us come from, like, homes where a successful marriage was never shown in a marriage. We didn't, speaking for myself, I never knew what a successful marriage looked like in my home growing up. However, you look at outside homes, maybe your grandparents, they have a successful marriage. And so when I say in my home, I'm talking about the people I live with. But then you go on the outside and you see grandparents. Okay, those grandparents have a successful marriage. That grandparent may not have a successful marriage. But just growing up, you may not come from a background with a household that had a successful marriage. However, when you come together and you operate as one, that's the first step. That's the foundational step to having a successful marriage. Because with that step, that means we are one, all of our decisions come across as one, and you won't get mixed messages. And if you are going to get mixed messages, that's when you bring it to the table, you talk about it with your husband or your wife, and then you say, okay, this is what we know, this is how I feel, this is how you feel. How do we come out and on a unified front and attack this issue together as one? So.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing I was going to add, was that when you have a family, like, your kids can tell, when their parents are not on the same page, or, where they can get around at. And I think it's just super important that you guys, like you said, lay a strong foundation, because strong foundation you won't break.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask, though, was how was your transition from moving to me to we?
Yeah, I think my transition was easy. It was easy because I was preparing myself from the moment that I proposed to you. And so I knew that the moment that I proposed, it was going to have to be different. So it wasn't necessarily going to be what I wanted. And once I started getting myself in that mental state, it was always, okay, I need to consider, what she wants. Or I need to consider, what the family wants, or what's going to put the family first. And I need to consider, if I make this decision, how does it affect everything? And so I think it was an easy transition, and the reason I say it was easy because I prepared for it. Once I got engaged to you, that's when I started preparing. I didn't prepare once we got married. I started preparing then, and then when we went to counseling, that just helped speed it along. But I started preparing at that moment because I knew that was probably going to be one of the hardest things, But after I got past that, everything else would be smooth sailing and easy.
Okay.
So the question comes back to you. How hard was it for you to transition from me to we?
I think it was challenging for me. I think that moving from me to we takes a certain amount of vulnerability. And I felt like for a long time that I had to protect myself. And I feel like I even struggle with that, even though I knew it had to happen. Like I knew, like we were in premarital counseling and throughout the engagement, like I knew certain things were going to have to change and it wasn't just going to be my way.
Yeah.
But I still think even with the first year of marriage, I just remember like me really struggling with that. Especially like, I feel like in the financial space.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it just takes a level of like trust and like allowing you to even like lead the home and just I'm letting go of the idea that my way is always right and that we can come together and come up with a way that is better. So I think it was a little challenging for me.
Yeah. And I think finances was the biggest thing for you, for sure.
Yeah.
And I can admit that you are a lot better than me with finances. You know, like I always operated at, before like we got married, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm like always shooting for the stars. So I always operated at, you know, right at the red line. So, you know, if I have $100, I'm spending $105. Just try to make this work. And my bank account is always in the negative. I'm always trying to, you know, flip something or rob this person to pay this person or try to do something like that. But then when we came together as a couple in marriage, it was, I knew I couldn't do that anymore. You know, I did it like one time in the beginning of our marriage and it was super stressful. And so I knew I couldn't do that anymore because I have another person to look after or look to, you know, like it's two of us in this thing and one decision can affect the whole thing. And so then, I would say for like a couple, like the first half of our marriage, I was looking at the way you managed the money, the way, you know, what you saw as acceptable, what you didn't see as acceptable, and how to make sure that, okay, if I do operate this way, I got to make sure that we stay at this level. So that way, if anything happens, we're still good, you know? And you taught me a lot from just looking at you. Look at the way you managed it. Look at the way you kept the bank account and everything like that. You taught me a lot from it. And that's just me being honest, you know? A lot of men don't want to say that, but it is what it is, you know? From there, then I learned how to balance checkbooks, how to make sure, you know, what's coming in, what's going out, and make sure that we have more than enough to keep moving forward. So, but that was one of the biggest things that you was concerned about, you know, like that. And what if I'd make the money and then just take it all and then?
Yeah, that felt like that was my biggest concern, is you running off and leaving me. That's insecurities and that's fear.
Okay, run off. I mean, some people would do it, but that doesn't make any sense. That's very.
But it happens every day.
Yeah, that's very immature.
I was operating out of fear a lot. That's what it is. I was operating out of fear a lot when we first got together. Just always feeling the need to protect myself. And yeah, you can't go through your marriage like that because basically you're putting things on the other person that they don't deserve. Like, you never did anything to make me feel like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I was just creating these scenarios in my head from experiences and just what I really believed. Just putting things on our marriage that wasn't necessary. I always say that I have to like live by this saying that I found on Instagram a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was saying that just because it happened to them doesn't mean that it will happen to you.
Yeah.
And like when I know that things have happened to other people, I put it on my life and think that this could happen to me. And I know that I cannot go throughout life thinking that, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to guard your heart and protect your heart from those things because that's their story, not yours. So I think that that's like a big thing that, I don't know how I just got on this, but that's just a big thing that I've had to overcome.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes in with the like moving from me to we thing. That was scary for me.
Yeah.
I think you're more brave when it comes to things like that than me.
Yeah, for sure. The way I look at it is dive all the way in and figure it out along the way. And if it messes up, at least you know not to go down that path anymore.
You're like that sometimes. You're like that with serious things, but with things like when I say, let's go and hop in the car and drive to North Carolina with no plan.
No.
He doesn't want to do that. But I can do stuff like that. But when it comes down to serious things, you're like all in. But me, let's just drive to the nearest beach.
Yeah, that's a little risky.
We book a hotel, and I'm like, no, we'll find somewhere when we get there.
Yeah, that's a little risky.
He can't do that, but you can.
Yeah, I can dive in on serious
Sign
stuff.
your whole bank account off to me.
Yeah, I can do that, but don't.
That's
play
funny. I wonder what that
thing.
means.
I can't do it. Sorry.
But yeah.
For
Okay.
Sure. All right, so we covered what does it mean to move from me to we. Why is moving from me to we important? And now, what do you think are some hard things? I think we discussed some of the hard things that, moving from me to we. Some things that can be hard to move from me to we.
Yeah, the first one, finances.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the biggest one, but we just talked about that. Just finances, like, there's no, this is my money, this is your money. This is our money. No matter if you laid in the bed for 6 months because you didn't feel good, or because you were depressed, or because you couldn't make it out the room, and they were outside of the house working for those 6 months. When they bring that money into the bank account, that's not his money, that's not my money, that's our money. There's no, I work this amount of hours and I put this much in, so this is my money, so don't even touch it. Or you can't have it, or you can only get this portion. Don't do that. That's setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, for sure. And division. It creates division and tension in the household.
Tension, greed.
Yeah.
All of that. So yeah, that's the first thing that even in counseling we worked on. I remember we have different levels of counseling, but our first stage of counseling we had like mentors, and she meant so much to me. Her name is Miss Hannah, and she has been married for like 20 years, and she spoke to me in so many different ways, and this was like a few months after we got engaged. And I told her, she was like, what's your biggest fear? And I told her my finances was not my biggest fear. It was other fears, but that was a really big one. And she just told me to just trust God. And she told me that if this is the man that I'm supposed to marry and he tries to play me basically, like leaves me, just know that I will be okay. And she was like, you can't go throughout your marriage guarding yourself. And she was like, this is the one thing that you have to do. Yeah. You have to trust him. And so when she told me that, I honestly applied that to everything in my marriage. And I was just thinking about the very things that I'm scared of, just to do. Just to do it, even though it's hard. And it was really hard. And I know some people might think, it's just sharing a bank account. But like, that junk is scary.
No, people don't just think it's just sharing a bank account, because that's like the number one thing that married couples don't do. Don't share bank accounts, or I'm gonna have a side account over here, or this is our account, this is my account. So when I get paid, I put money into our account, but then I also keep money for my account. Or they pay the rent, I pay the bills, or something like that. That's very backwards to me, and that's very, I don't want to call it. That's very immature. If you get married, this is our money. We're talking about switching from me to we. This is we money at this point.
Yeah.
This is our money. Once it, like you said, once it comes in, it's one person. If you ever make the other person feel like I made all of this money, that is very immature. No matter who makes the most money. If you can make $70,000 and I can make $0, but guess what? When it comes in, it's our money. It can be flipped. I can make 70, you can make 0, but it's our money. It doesn't matter what it is. That's the way you should operate. Operating from my money and her money, and that's very childish. You shouldn't do that, because at that point you shouldn't have been married. And like you were about to say, the tables can turn.
Yeah,
and
always.
when they turn,
and they're going. But the thing is, if you're gonna be married forever, just think how much can change.
Yeah.
Don't do that to nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big one.
Number one, if you're gonna switch from me to we, that bank account is the first thing that you need to go ahead and turn on. If you have two separate bank accounts right now, that is unacceptable. If you have two separate bank accounts and you're married, that is unacceptable, and you need to go ahead tomorrow. Go tomorrow to the bank and say, I want one bank account. I want.
Okay, it's not about having one bank account because we have multiple bank accounts.
Yeah, we have multiple bank accounts, but everybody's name. Yeah. Everybody has to have a card for both of those bank accounts because that's just the way it has to be. You have to operate from a spirit of transparency.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's another great thing about that. It's just completely transparent. There's no secrecy. It's completely open. It's not just because we don't trust each other. It's no darkness. It's all laid out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it shows how your decisions affect the other person. So if you want to make a purchase on Amazon and go Amazon shopping, then we have to talk about that. If I want to make a purchase on Amazon and go Amazon shopping, we have to talk about that. I just can't pop up with something ordered from Amazon and you're like, where did this come from? But once you go on the bank account, since both of us have access, you can go in and say, what you doing shopping on Amazon, spending this amount of money? And then
we do have a every marriage is different, but we do have a set amount, like a certain amount that, and it will change obviously probably when your income changes, it might change, but we have a number that if we are going to spend this amount of money, we need to talk to each other about it. Like if we're going to make this purchase, it needs to be talked about. And this isn't like going to get your nails done, like low purchases. This is something that's wow, like this could be bill money, like, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it changes. The number can change. It's changed since we've been married, but y'all should have a number where you talk about your purchases because you don't want to just start making all these purchases and then it's like, dude, like we got this to take care of and like you're just doing your own thing. That's like moving on one accord.
You just spent it on Amazon, so how are we supposed to get through the cable bill?
Stuff like that. Because when you were single, when you were by yourself, you could just do those things. You could just look at the bank account one time and be like, oh, whatever, I'll just go shopping, I'll just do this, you know what I'm saying? But you got a whole nother person, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to consider everything. That's why I always I really encourage my single friends because I'm just like, listen, you just got to worry about yourself right now. You have a whole, it's nice to have a husband. Like, I love having you. But it's not just about me at all. Regardless, if you have your own job and all this other stuff, like, that money is y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a big change.
Everything is times two. Like, you used to be able to go out to eat or something and spend $10.
There's
when you
no
go out
more.
with another person, it's $20.
There's no more eating under $20.
Yeah, for sure. That's like the minimum amount is $20 because it's two people now. So
movies.
Yeah.
Entering anywhere. Everything is times two. Period.
Yep. For sure.
The only thing we get a break on is that phone bill because they be doing bundles.
Yeah.
But that's not it.
Yeah. For sure.
But finances. Then the second one would be sharing things. Sharing things. Okay. We grew up with siblings, so
you still gotta have a problem with sharing.
We grew up with siblings, so we are not only children, so we've always had to share pretty much.
Yeah.
But I will say that sharing, right, because you basically take over everything.
You don't want me to touch their hair products.
Specifically my body products and my snacks.
You don't want me to touch your snacks because these are the only peanuts you can eat, basically.
They're not peanuts. They're
seeds.
Pepitas. Pumpkin seeds with no shell.
Yeah. I mean, but I do take over stuff. Like, it is what it is.
People sit there and eat my whole snack bag and not even tell me about it.
But that's our snack bag, right? I mean, sometimes we got to get separate snacks for sure, like your like my Kenny's pies and your
I never eat your snacks.
maybe you don't like them, you know. But I'm willing to
But
share.
you always like mine.
I'm willing to
Rod
share.
is a human vacuum.
I'm willing
So
to share
he
my
will
snacks.
eat everything. I don't eat everything. So he will take my snacks. That's a big thing. Sharing my snacks. You need to get your own snacks.
For sure. But if it's in the house, I can definitely have some, right?
Yeah.
What about the chocolate bar?
He took that over too.
I only had a couple pieces of that, for sure.
Sharing things is important.
Yeah.
There's no like... You need to buy your own snacks, and then I'll buy my own snacks. I know I'm still on the snacks.
From me to we? It is not. We need to buy snacks for the house, and then say, you know, I prefer this snack over this snack. But you know.
Okay, tip. In marriage, you don't have your own snacks, and they will take over your snacks. So make sure you keep it stashed somewhere, that where they can't find it.
In this house, I find all the
He
snacks.
does.
If it's in the cabinet, under the cabinet, behind the fridge, beside the fridge,
Yeah, he will
on her
find
side
them.
of the bed, if I find it, I am going to eat it.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you know what I will say with those kind of things, like my body products, that was a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, this is a crazy story, but this is so true. I have a lot of hair, like a lot of hair, and I have to buy conditioner all the time. And so Rod doesn't have any hair, but I only wash my hair every 2 weeks. So it's not like I check the conditioner and shampoo bottle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I wash my hair, 2 weeks go by. I go for my shampoo and conditioner, and the bottles are empty.
Yeah.
Rod
Been in there using that thing.
been in
every
there
day.
using all of my products. And
What
the
can I
thing
say?
is, when that first happened, I honestly was so upset.
Yeah, you were.
I didn't understand, like, what were you doing in there?
I was putting it in my hair.
But why are you washing and conditioning your hair so much? You had to have been using it every time you went in the bath.
Yeah, I was going a bit excessive, but you know, I was using it, and so I wanted to use some shampoo. It was there. Hey, you know, wash my face with face soap. Wash my body with body soap.
Any kind of nice
Makes sense
product.
to make-
You know
wash my
those
hair
cute
with hand
conditioners
soap.
you get, like, and body washes that you get from TJ Maxx. Cute stuff. Yeah, Rod, you like
I'm
that.
cracking it open and I'm using it for sure.
Yeah. So, but I've honestly gotten used to it. You kind of just get used to those kind of things, and you just buy more.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm way better than I was. Because at first, it used to just really mess with me. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind now. Now I think it's kind of cool. Rod, we got new products.
Yeah. Let's see what we got.
We do. And I like it because, I don't know. I like it. I get excited when I pick something new out. Because I know you're going to like it.
Yeah. And in the beginning, it's hard, but eventually you get past it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next
No,
question.
we're not done with the things.
Oh, we got a couple more things? Couple
Ownership
more hard
things.
All right, ownership things. Let's go into that.
Yeah, basically, car, house, anything over $5,000.
For sure.
That's basically
Yeah.
can get funny because it's just like when you get upset, you might want to yell, well, this is my car or my house, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's none of that. It's all ours. And like we said, tables can always turn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You may lose your job, he may lose his, you may have yours. You can't do that. That's mean
And
and
that's not the way it
vindictive.
was supposed to be designed anyway. If
Hmm?
you're coming together as marriage, it's
Yeah.
one period across the board.
Yeah.
So this is our house. If you got two cars, he may drive this car and you may drive that car.
Mhm.
However, that is not your car and that's not his car.
Yeah.
That is our cars. We own two cars. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes he drives this, sometimes I drive that.
Yeah.
But any day we can switch and
Mhm.
we'll be okay, you know? But it's definitely ours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not that you can't say like my car this, like when you're just talking, but like just know it's our.
Yeah, in any moment, you may be driving the other car that you don't want to drive.
The minivan. And then the last one, traditions. That was a good one. I don't know about y'all, but your partner, your husband, wife, you probably didn't grow up the same. I mean, some people have. Hmm?
Said 9 times out of 10 you didn't.
Yeah. And so y'all are going to have different traditions. We do this for Christmas. We do this for Thanksgiving. We go here. And that is a big thing that you guys are going to have to really bunker down on and decide, what are we really going to do?
Yeah.
You know, you got to start your own traditions. It's not, well, my mama and them do this and this, so we got to do this. Like, yeah, y'all can go to your mom's house, but also, what about their mom's house? And just like coming up with your own thing, because this is y'all's marriage. It's not their marriage. So if y'all want to do Christmas presents in the morning and then go out, you know, even though your mom always wants to do Christmas in the morning, hey, it's y'all's marriage. So yeah, you're going to have to start new traditions, you know, and be considerate of others, you know. Just, it's not about what you want. And your mom, your dad, they'll get over it.
They will.
They will get over it, because this is y'all's tradition. And pretty soon y'all may have kids. And you got to start your own tradition, you know?
Yeah.
So, what you think?
I agree with everything you just laid out right there. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So where we're moving on to now? What's the next question we have on that?
What is the proper time to move from me to we? Like you said, you would get married in the engagement period. I was too.
Yeah, you get ready in the engagement period, but the proper time to move from me to we is once you get married. So you prepare everything up until the marriage, and then once you get married, then that's when you move from me to we. Because once you're engaged, it's still about me at that point. It's still about everything that I want to do. And then once you get married,
but you need to prep.
Yeah, you're prepping up until you get married, and once you get married, that's from that point on. That's when you move from me to we. You know, at the beginning, like once we get married, we think, okay, we had the wedding, it's all over. That's only the beginning. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of your journey. That's like the start, and that's when you're moving from me to we, and that's the first step. That's the first step of moving from me to we.
Yeah.
Once you get married.
And don't think that first day of marriage you're just gonna lock down. It's gonna be trial and error. You're gonna have to, I messed up, let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just an overnight thing. It don't happen automatic, and you will catch yourself operating in me a lot.
Yeah, like with the snacks or the hair products.
Yeah, I know that sounds like childish things.
Yeah, it took time to get to where we are today. Yeah. However, you know, it's going to be front, back, front, moving forward, step back, move forward, step back. But that's just all part of the process. It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think most people go into marriage, some people go into marriage thinking that it's going to be like perfect from day one.
I know.
And that's not the case. You're going to have ups and downs.
All the counseling. You don't know marriage until you're in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like people who can read books about marriage all the time, but if you're not married, if you're not in it, working through it, it's not the same thing. And that's with a lot of things. Being a mom, all that probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, we wanted to give y'all some little steps to take if you backslide into me. Because like we said, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And so there are, 3 steps from how to move from me to we, and then what happens if you backslide into me.
Yeah.
And so there are 3 steps from moving from me to we. The first step is what? Okay. So the first step is admitting it's not about me, it's about we.
I said that at my sister's, that's my maid of honor speech. Okay, y'all want to do it with me? 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not about me. It's about we. It's not about me. It's about we.
All right. So that is step number 1. Step number 1 is admitting that it's not about me. It's about we. Step number 2 is express why you were feeling how you were feeling. So that's past, present, and future. And then at this step, the most crucial point in this step is to communicate. Communication is key in this step. So for this step, you have to express why you were feeling and how you were feeling in the past, present, and future. And then
Because this is the thing. A lot of the reasons why we go back to our me ways is also, it doesn't even have to be about that present moment. It can be about past, what you experienced in your childhood. Maybe with control, like, money, thinking that I have to claim that it's mine. I have to protect myself. Like, you don't know what that person has seen, because even though you guys have been together for so long, things pop up where you thought you knew everything about this person's past, but then it's like, whoa, that happened. And like, you can have moments in your marriage that trigger a feeling that you had in your past. We call that trauma.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Trauma is going to pop up in your marriage. It's going to pop up and you realize that when I was a kid, this happened, and this is why I acted like this in this situation. And I am sorry. That's the past.
Yeah.
And that's a really big thing. And you have to show one another grace, because that is going to happen on their side and your side. And you just got to understand that, okay, we can get through this. Or I'm not going to do that to you. You know what I mean? Or you don't have to worry about that. That's not me. That goes back to what I was saying about, because it happened to them, it doesn't have to happen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't bring on other people's hurts. And a lot of the time we don't realize how much other people's hurts we carry in our life.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing that I think that draws you back to that me, past wise. So present.
Yeah.
Did you have one for present? Express why you're feeling how you're feeling. Like, anything could happen in that moment. Maybe in that moment they made you feel some type of way, so you felt like you had to protect yourself. Or maybe they wanted to stop something from happening, so they just shut it down and reverted back to their old ways. Because that's all they feel most familiar with, so they just go back to that. So yeah, protection is a big reason why we go to me instead of we. What do you think?
Yeah, and all those examples that you just gave for past, present, and future is a good one. I don't think you gave one for future. Yeah, you did give one for future by saying, no, if it's happened to them, then it's going to happen to me. Thinking about it's going to happen to you in the future.
Yeah,
because
you have
it's
to
happened
protect
in the past.
yourself.
Yeah.
Protection is for future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
communication, so key. Listen, if you're going to talk to anybody in this world, it needs to be your spouse, your partner, for life. That's the thing. It can be uncomfortable at first, but listen, if you're going to be with this person forever, just show them everything. And that's what I love about you, Rod, that I get to show you me, and I know that it's not pretty all the time, but I know that if I don't show you me, then I'm going to be hiding something. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to create some form of division. But if I just lay it all out, which is not that easy, but it's so necessary. And like, just this feeling of like saying uncomfortable things is scary, but once you say it, it's like you can just breathe.
Yeah.
So yeah, communication is so, so key. And I know people say that all the time, but let me tell you something. Communication is so key. Get uncomfortable. Cry. You'll eventually laugh.
Okay. All right. So that was a good explanation. So, 1, admit it's not about me. It's about we. Step 2 is to express why you were feeling how you were feeling. And this is past, present, and future. And for this step, communication is key. And so the third step is to start the conversation over while talking in terms of we, us, and team.
We, us, team. Your favorite words.
Team.
We, us, and team. Change your words.
Yeah, so you start the conversation over using the words we, us, and team. And then
say it until it gets in your heart.
Yeah. And then if you see yourself backsliding from we back to me, what you should do is repeat steps 1 through 3 over again. So let's take it from the top.
Yeah.
How to move from we to me. Let us know, Kellen.
Admit. Step number 1. Admit it's not about me. It's about we.
Okay.
Step 2. Express why you are feeling. No. Step 2. Express why you were feeling how you were feeling. Past, present, or future. Communication is key in this step. So key. Step 3. Start the conversation over with we, us, team. So key. Get those words in your heart. Say them out loud. Even if you have to look in the mirror in the morning like a weirdo, say it. Mm-hmm. What is there? Our words have power.
Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me. Look at me. That's an inside joke. But yeah, so it's our human nature to look out for ourselves. Mm-hmm. But you guys are a team, and you have to go against what your human nature is telling you to do. Our human nature is flawed. So we have to operate in a spiritual way. So honestly, you got to beat that me out of you. Mm-hmm. And you are your own person, though. Don't get it twisted. That's the beautiful part about marriage. It's two people coming together as one. So don't think you have to lose it all to be with somebody, because you don't. And that's going to be another episode of the podcast. That's going to be girl talk.
It's going to be girl talk, but...
You gonna be gone. This is when you gone.
All right,
episodes,
sure.
But yeah, so yeah, human nature is gonna tell you I gotta be me till the end of till the world blows. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, you gotta be we if you're married. But yeah, so we hope that you guys learned some things. This was actually really fun. I know this was way longer than expected. We probably have to cut some of this out because I know I have been running my mouth. Yeah. Rod looking like it's time to go. I know Rod so much. He's like, when we got on naming the finances, sharing things, ownership things, he was ready to go.
Oh yeah, way back then. How the heck did you know?
I know. But yeah, okay. So we had so much fun talking with you guys today.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time.
Super interesting.
And one thing you need to remember is that it's not about we. Ooh, snap.
One thing you need to remember
is not about me. It's about we. One thing for certain, two things for sure.
It ain't about me. It's about we. Say that again.
One thing for certain, two things for sure.
It's not about me. It's about we. Hey.
I messed it up. I said we. One thing for certain, two things for sure. It's not about me. It's about we.